Okay, so let's see where we begin with this. Here are the requirements. I've got 5 different bullet points and a mock-up. So the first thing I want to do really is to create a brand new project. Where am I at the moment? Okay, so let's go ahead and what's this going to be called? Yet another to-do list. While that's doing its installation thing, let me have a think about how I want to do this. Okay, so I think probably for the ease of everything, I'm just going to start off in one component. Clearly, the main thing here in terms of state is that it needs to hold a list of strings, aka the to-dos. So this is going to be the main thing that we have to update. And then at some point, so number 1, and then number 2, when we get there, is something about a CSS property for straight through. We'll be able to toggle that on and off. So that's the second thing that we'll have to have a look at. So I'll just do with this part first, and then when we get on to that requirement, I'll have a look at that. So in terms of the page here, I imagine this can just be a heading. This can be a text box, which is an input element. This probably can be a button. This will be a link, an anchor link, and these will just be, let's just keep them at divs at the moment. 1, 2, and 3. Each individual element, and we've got to figure out this checkbox is also an input. It's going to be a type checkbox. So I think those are the things that I kind of need on the page. I'm going to keep everything in one component for the moment and see what we can extract. Okay, so that's gone ahead and installed for me. We're going to be using Cypress, so let's make sure we install Cypress. Okay, we've installed Cypress, so let's go ahead and open our project. And let's also open Cypress to get it initialized. Yep, you do your thing. Okay. Get rid of all of you. I will clearly need to set the base URL for my Cypress to know where to go find things. Host, React 3000 by default, so let's use 3000. So let's go ahead and start our dev server just with the default React app. Localhost 3000, cool. Okay, so this is the simple default for React. Look at that lovely spinning element. All right, let's get rid of that. I don't like that. Where are you? You're probably here. Let's get rid of you. All right, nice and blank. I guess we don't need to import the logo. We can just keep that simple. Okay, so I'm running my dev server. I've got Cypress open, I think. Try again because I just added it. I've got a bunch of tests there at the moment. So let's get rid of all the default stuff like this and this. And let's create our first test. Let's just call this yet another to-do list spec. Kind of reminds me of pterodactyl. Okay, describe yet another to-do list. What do I want this to do? So the first requirement, let's go back to the requirements. A heading saying yet another to-do list. It shows a heading. So first of all, we need to go visit the index, and then we need to let's get the element that we'll create in a second, and let's get it by an ID of heading. Great. All right. Right. Let's try and namespace it. All right. To-do list heading. I'll do something like that. And then we should make an assertion, should contain yet another to-do list. What? Okay, I can't see my test. Let's quit you and start again. Come on, find my test, please. There you are. Please run. Cool, we visit the home page and we can't find this element. Good. Okay, so this will fail for a little while. I want to write a component test. So let's go ahead and think about my to-do list component. At the moment, if I go back to my diagram, my to-do list component needs a list of strings, so it's going to be stateful. So let's create a class component, and therefore we need a test for it. So let me create a file in a directory called components, and let's call it to-do list. I'm going to grab this as a template and let's have a look at it. I don't need app. I'm going to import my to-do list and my to-do list renders a heading. I'll render my component. Sure, I can do it this way because I get my text. Well, what's the text on the screen at the moment? What did I say I wanted? This. Oh, okay, that was a bit weird. I pasted and it came up with this on my clipboard. So clearly my Atom editor has a different clipboard. All right, goodbye. Let's try it again. Yeah, okay. Render to-do list, and then I'm going to get my, I'm not going to call it a link element, let's call it a heading element, heading. Cool, all right, that feels like it should be okay for the moment to keep driving forward. Let's get this, all right, this is my Cypress, this is my dev server. Let's get rid of all of you. Let's open up a new shell and let's run npm tests to get Jess to run all my component tests. App test, I don't think I'm going to need you for the moment, so goodbye. and I cannot find the module to-do list. Cool, because I haven't created it yet. So let's go ahead and create it. To-do list JS. Okay, let's import React, and we need a stateful component. So component from React. I also need to write my class. So to-do list is my component, and let's make sure I export it. It's a class, so it needs a constructor. What I do in here, I'm going to give it props and get it to set up. And I need to set some state. So what is my state object going to be? A list of strings, to-dos. So to-dos as a list. Start with empty. We need a render function because that's important. Every function needs to know what it needs to display. So let's return something. What are we going to return? So this to-do list, at the moment, let's just return a div, and all we need it to have is a heading. So let's give it a heading. And specifically, it needs to be yet another to-do list. Yet another to-do list. I guess I don't really need this for the moment, but I'm just setting it up. That's fine. Usually I'd be a little bit more particular about making sure I didn't do this until I got a test for it, but that's fine, I guess. Okay, let's run our tests again. Let's have a look at what's going on. Oh, I forgot to extend my class. Extends component. Cool. So I've got a simple component on the page that just shows a heading. I've got a component test for it. And I am going to make sure my Cypress test pass. So it's not passing because I don't see anything with the ID of to-do list heading. So I guess step one is add ID to-do list heading, and step two is make sure import. Where is it from? No, what is it? What am I calling it? I'm calling it a to-do list from components to do lists. To-do list, no, capital T. To-do list. And then that's, oh, not there, there. Let's go ahead and create render my to-do list. Let's go back to my test. Cool, okay, step one, fairly straightforward. We've got a couple tests, feature level test using Cypress to navigate to the page and see it. And we've got a component test making sure my component renders as expected. Okay, so let's go back to requirements, an input field to type text, and a button which, when clicked, saves the to-do that appears in the to-do list. Okay, let's go ahead and write a Cypress test for this. So it can save and show a to-do. And then the same setup, we visit our index page, and then what are the steps that need to happen? Let's go back here. I have to add some text, click on the button, and then make an assertion. Add text, click button, assert text on page. Okay, so I should do the same thing, I guess, where I'm going to get the text box by ID to do list text box. I'm going to type into it my first to do. Then I have to click the button, so I've got to do the same process. Let's grab it from the page, get to-do list button. All right, I'm going to click it. Let's move that over here. Add text, click button, and then insert that text on the page. Something a little bit like this, I imagine. I want to. How am I going to get the ID though? I guess I could try and give everyone an ID. To-dos. All right, to-dos 0. First one should contain my first to-do. Okay, let's see this fail. Okay, so find element to this text box. I've never found it. Yeah, fair enough. So let's go ahead and update my component spec. So it'll be quite similar to the feature level test, but this is making sure my component renders as expected. So this is going to be the same kind of thing. Save and show to do. So how do I do it using React testing library? Okay, I render my component. I've got to do the same kinds of things, right? I've got to add text. I've got to click button and then assert that that text is on the page. So how do I add text? React, I think I do React testing library, something like. I've looked at this before. Yes. Okay. User event type. And what does it do? Let's actually have a look at what's the type. Type element, text. So I have to pass an element, and I use the getFind element using a query method, and then the text that I want. All right. And for that to work, I have to have user event. Okay, let's grab you. Here, user events type, and then I need to grab screen by role. Okay, so I just need to have a text box as long as I have an input field. As long as I only have one input field, it works. All right, otherwise I might be confused. We're going to only have one input field. Let's do that. That might be easiest for the moment. Get by role. So just look at the elements of the page and find one that is an input field that has a type text. And what text do I want to enter into it? My first to do. Okay, so I'm going to type into it, and then I need to click. I imagine it will just be something very similar. Click. So click and then get by. Okay. I imagine if I do the same get by role, can I do get by role button? Maybe. So let's try that. Click, get by role button, and that's all I need, right? Yeah. Okay, save and show to do. So I render my components. I add some text into that text box, which I'll create in a second, and then I want to click on it. And then I'm going to assert that it's there. So then I can say something like, let's create a to-do element. And I want it to be available to me. So let's just find that on the page, my first to do, and make that as an assertion. Let's see how far I get with this test. So where are you running? Here you are, Jest. Okay, save and show to do, unable to find the access element with the role text box. Okay, so let's go ahead and add that. So here is where I'm going to, I guess below my heading, let's add an input. input, and it's going to be type text. I need to give it an ID though, don't I? So what's my ID meant to be? To-do list text box. ID is equal to-do list text box. Okay, type text. Let's have a look at my test. Okay, so I've been able to type into it because I've got here, and now I need to click. I'm able to find an access element with a role button. So let's go ahead and make one. Button, like that. What is it meant to say? It's meant to say something like save. Okay, what next? Okay, I've got past this one, and now it can't find an element with the text. Okay, so we actually have to show the to-do. So this is where I have to find a way to add this to the to-do. So let's show the to-dos first. I guess below this button. So let's do something like this dot state dot to-dos. Let's map through it with each to-do and return back. Let's create just divs in a moment. Keep it straightforward. Nothing fancy. And inside of this, let's get the actual text of the to-do. Maybe. Okay, still the same thing because I haven't added the new to-do into the array. So let's go ahead and try and do that. So in order to do that, let's have a think about this. When I click this button, I need to take the text from the input field and add it to this. So let's have a, I guess this also needs an ID. So let's do the ID first. I've called it to this button. So let's grab you and make sure it's available. And then I need on click. What do you need to be? On click, we're going to have some kind of function to sort of like add to do. In which case, this is going to be add to do. I don't really like that method name, but let's ignore it for the moment. What are you going to do? You are going to get text from input field. You're going to add text to to-dos array, and then you're going to call set state, update state, and re-render. So I guess we're going to finish with this dot set state, passing it an object with the new to-do, something like that, where const new to-dos is going to be, I guess let's copy it for now. And then new to-dos, I'm looking backwards here, push into it. What I'm going to push, I need to push something into it. I need to push whatever is in my input field. To do then. Const to do is going to be, let's grab it. Let's go document get element by ID. I guess I can grab it from here. And if it's an input field, it should have a property called value, which I can get. Let's just log out to see what's going on here. Let's make sure I'm on the right track. A bit too much stuff happening at the moment. Okay, let's see that happen. Oh yeah, cool, nice, look at that. Console log my first to do, and then I console log again, and I have it inside of the array. So I've got all my tests passing, but I've got a warning here that says each child in a list. Oh yeah, it's React. I know. So whenever you loop through and display a list of items, React wants you to pass a key. So let's be not really hacky about it, but let's just not worry about it so much for the moment and just give it an index as its key. Okay, and we can remove those console logs. Okay, so I've got my component being able to add to-dos. Let's go back to my spec. Let's make sure this is passing. I haven't got any IDs here, so this is gonna fail. Get to-do. So each of my to-do items needs to have an ID. How am I going to do that? I guess I pass an ID here, and I'm going to do something like to-dos, and then I guess interpolate a index. I'll be, when I loop through this array, index of 0, it will be the first one. Okay, yet another to-do list, and I can, oh, it doesn't clear automatically. Maybe that's something we have to think about later. I've got a heading, I've got an input field, I've got a button, which works. I don't have any checkboxes at the moment. That'll be the next step, but let's just double check what things are going on. So go back to my requirements. Heading, an input field type text, and button, which when clicked saves to do appears in the to list. All right, now we have to think about this checkbox. Let's write a test for it. It can show a to-do with a checkbox. No. It has to-dos which you can toggle. Strike through, let's be quite declarative about that, I guess. Let's say something like, as before, we visit the home page. We'll do sort of the same setup. So let's make a to-do. And then I want to be able to actually target that checkbox and then make an assertion that it is, oh, it's got strike through. Okay, well then how does Cypress, okay, so let's think about this. What's my setup that I need? I need create the to-do, create to-do, and then I need to get the checkbox. I need to click it. And then I need to assert that the text has strike through. Something like that. I guess this is a CSS property. So I've got to find out how I can assert on CSS property. Go to the checkbox, click it, so the text says, yeah, okay, I feel like that should be enough as a sort of skeleton of a test. How do I, CSS, no, Cypress should have CSS. Should test, that's a blog, it should be all right, so look how you do that. Okay, should have, all right, maybe something like this. CY, I'll look at the commands in a second. get to-dos. Okay, so each checkbox has to have an ID accordingly. So let's do the same pattern. To do 0 for my first one, checkbox, something like that. Get that checkbox. I'm going to click it, and then I'm going to get the first to do, and then just the text, and then should have CSS, not background color, but I want, what's the rule? It's going to be something like, what is the actual property? That's the value. CSS strike through. Yeah, fine, whatever. Text decoration property. Text decoration. Something like strike through. I don't know. Let's actually have a look. What's the actual name for this? Strike through. Text decoration strike through. Line through, text decoration line through. So it's not called strike, it's called line through. Line through like that. Underline, overline, line through. All right. That should be enough to see what happens, and then we can sort of update it from there. So get the checkbox and click it. I guess we'll move that over here so we can see things that are happening. That should be enough to sort of help us drive forward in the test. So let's see that fail. Vist is not a function. Fair enough, Cypress. Okay, so we should go through and we can't see the checkbox. Yep, fair enough. Let's go back to my spec. Now, let's think about this for a second. If I what I'm thinking at the moment is I think at this point I probably need to create a separate component for my to-do, because my to-do needs to hold its own state of whether it's got a strike through property or not. Otherwise, my to-do list will have to hold the state of each individual to-do with this, and it's just going to be a little bit more complicated. So I think that's probably the best thing to do right now. Okay, if that's what I want to do, I need to create a test for it. To do spec.js. Let's just copy this template and let's not worry about this just yet. Actually, maybe that's not what I want. What's my test going to be? I want, for my to-do, I want it to, I guess we can go straight into, it has a checkbox that you can click. So let's start with that one. Let's write a test. It has a checkbox that you can click. I don't really like this name. I really want like an outcome as a name, but I'll think about this later. I'm going to render my to-do. I guess we'll keep an individual to-do. Import to-do from to-do. I'll create that in a second. And I guess I have to make an assertion. All right, a Cypress assertion. Can I get my role checkbox? User event. React testing library. Come on. React testing library. Get by role checkbox. Is this an example I can get? I don't like that. Get by role. What are the roles? Get by role checkbox. All right, I can get by role checkbox. Checkbox. Okay, so let's back up a second. Which one am I actually updating? Let's get rid of you. Let's keep it simple. And this will be something like when to do is to do checkbox is checked. Then text has strike through. Okay, a bit fiddly this part here. Render my to do. I want to no. Stop. There we are. This, get rid of you, get rid of you. I want to click checkbox. This is what this does. I'm going to grab the checkbox. I'm going to click it, and then I want to assert that text has strike through. Okay. And the way that I need to do this is by looking up again. Okay. React testing library. Assert CSS property. Where's the actual? I want the actual docs, please. React certain CSS style to have style. That might be what I want. Assert CSS to have style. I need an example for this. Why can't you just show me the React testing library? Let's simplify it. Where's your search? Style? No, come on. I want API. Come on, you must be here. Why is it so difficult to find what I want? To have style React testing library. I just want an example. I think I was looking at this already, wasn't I? Like, that doesn't help me at all. Expect to have style like this? Is that really how it works? Expect, and then you get an element. Expect element to have style. I can try that, but I really want an actual. Okay, you can. I guess you could pass an object or a string of different kinds. All right, too much looking up. I'm going to try it. Get the element and expect to the element to have a style. And what was it like? property and value, property text decoration. And value was line through. Let's see how far I get with this assertion. Render the to-do, we click on the checkbox, and then I grab that element to make sure that the text has line through. Let's see how far we get. Okay, I need to create my component to do JS, and I'm going to do something like very similar to my to-do list. Yeah. Import React and component from React. I want to create my class to do that extends the component class component. With a constructor. And let's initialize it. Here I've got to set some state. This .state is going to be, I guess we'll start off with a CSS property rule of not line through. So I guess we can call it text text decoration. Keep it empty for the moment. Then I want a render function that returns something. I'm going to export my. What am I going to do here? Well, I want to send across information from my to-do list into my to-do. So if I go back to my to-do spec, I want to render a to-do with some text. Let's say, for example, another to-do. Then my to-do is going to do something like, if I return it, but I always return one element. So let's set up my div. I need a checkbox. So let's do input type checkbox. We'll also need an ID at some point, but let's not worry about it for the moment. And I want the actual text of my to do, and here this will be where I put this props.text. This is what comes in through my props from when in my test when I create it. And at some point I need to add a style rule for text decoration. So let's just see how far we're getting with this at the moment. Okay. Here, my first to do. Clearly, I need another to do. Oh, okay. So I get. Oh, look at this. I do get a little bit more information now. When to do checked, checkbox is checked. Then text is strike through. Expect element to have style expected. Text decoration line through. Okay. And I guess it doesn't at all. Which makes sense because I haven't added anything. So go back to my to-do. After I click on this checkbox, I need to then update my state. So here is where my type is going to have like, how do I, let's double check this. Change event, I think it's the change event for checkbox. being changed using track element. The change event fires at a different moment when the element is checked, like a checkbox. Cool. So on change, I'm going to fire off a what am I going to call this function? This dot is complete. No. I'm going to give it a very I don't know, non-descriptive name, handle change, for lack of a better name. What does this need to do? This needs to update the text decoration property, and then re-render. So I'm going to, at the end, I'm going to call this .set state, and I'm going to update it with ooh, okay, so I'm going to have to do some kind of if checked, if already checked, then uncheck and unline through. Otherwise, check and line through. Okay, so I need to hold a little bit more state then. So let's do not just text decoration, but check that start off with false. And if, let's do it quite simply. If this dot state, if this is false, then let's call this dot set state with let's see what happens when I do line through, and also now checked as true, else then we can do the other version of this to untoggle, toggle off. Go back to false. If it's checked, only if it's checked do you, if it's already checked, then we do it the other way around actually, don't we? False. Text decoration. And true. So if it's already checked, as in someone's already clicked it, then we want to reset it back to its normal. If it is not checked, hold on, have I got my logic correct? Have I just undone what I thought was a reasonable thing? Only if this is true do we want to, yeah, it should be fine. So if this is false, then we do this. Yeah, okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see when we actually do it. Sometimes boolean for logic gets mind-blowingly difficult. Set state decoration true. So then, how do we actually apply the rule to my text here? Let's add a style attributes with text decoration is equal to this dot state dot text decoration. Okay. So I guess what I'm trying to do is just be able to have a toggle when I click on this checkbox that then updates the state to either yes, it's checked, and we have strike through or line through. I guess that means this should be line through. And if I click it again, it'll just keep toggling based on this if condition. This if condition gets executed when the handle change gets invoked, and we invoke it on change whenever there's a change event on the checkbox, which gets triggered when you click it. Okay, let's have a look at my test. Well, that's fun to see. You do a bit of work and you come back and see your test is passing. Okay. I'd like to see that fail because I don't necessarily believe that right now. Let's just see what happens if I remove one letter. Yeah, okay, cool. All right. So I've got a to-do component that can toggle that strike through, and now we've got to figure out how to get these components back to work with each other. So if I go back to my to-do list, rather than create all of my like to-dos here, I'm going to import my other component now. Import to-do from to-do. Yep, same directory should be fine. And then down here, I'm going to loop through all of the to-dos, index, and rather than create a div, the ID is going to be important, though. Let's create a to-do. The key is probably going to be important, and I need text. So ID, key, and text is going to be the to-do, and that can all just disappear. You can go. You need a // and now I've lost track of where all these things are. I think that should be all right. So I'm creating a to-do command. I'm going to ask my to-do to render with an ID, the key, because needs the key, and then the text of the to-do. And the text gets then sent in via props. So my to-do has props, and I display the text here. Although that ID might need to come through. So we might need to update this in a second, but let's see how far we get. So my component tests are running. Each of them are displaying as are expected. And let's make sure my feature test is. Let's go back here. So as I expected, something to do with the IDs. I can see here, which was good, and the strike through is working. But Cypress can't see it anymore because I've changed the way that to-dos are rendering on line 14. So how do we do that? I'm trying to make an assertion here. Let's inspect the page quickly. Where is that ID gone? Open you up, open that up. Where are you? Come on, there you are. Input, okay. So I need to send across the ID into the span and the input. Let's have a look. So the ID is being sent across here. I guess I could just keep it as props. I could just send across the index. So each to-do will get sent an ID, and what else? As a result, I can go through to my to-do. It'll be part of props, and so my span. That's the thing that needs the ID now. ID is equal to this dot props ID. That should still be passing. Let's see where you fail. You still can't see this. Let's double check what's going on. Oh, it does see ID, but ID is now 0 rather than I need to do 0. Okay, fair enough. To-dos, and then this needs to be interpolated. Does that make sense? Let's have a look. Clearly not. Because it needs to be JavaScript. Yeah. Cool, you can see, and I need to do the same thing with the checkbox. So the most fiddly part about this is just making sure Cypress can see the things it needs to. To-dos, what do they call it? To-dos 0, checkbox, to-dos 0, checkbox. To-do 0 text. Did I say text? I've probably been confusing things now. Text to have, if I just remove the text part now, just leave it as 0, will you find it? Expected, okay, we found it, and now Cypress is giving more information about to CSS property with the value line 3, but the value is line 3 solid. Okay, so it needs not just one value, but it needs all of that. All right, let's grab you and put you here. Okay. So we've got a set of passing feature tests, shows a heading, can save and show it to do, has to do's which you can toggle, strike through. Okay. Let's finish off the requirement. What time are we on? 10:27, so we're almost at the hour. What was the last requirement? A link to clear all the to-dos. It can clear all the to-dos. Okay, so let's create a to-do. Then we need to click on a link and then assert that there are no to-dos. So let's do something like get to-do list clear link, and then click it. And then we're going to make an assertion. How do I do not contains? Let's double check that. How do I Cypress? Cypress assert, expect to not contain. Do not. Test element does not exist. Get should not exist. All right. What? You should not exist. So if that's the case, then I should be able to do something like this should not exist. Should not exist. Let's see how far I get with that. Can clear all the to-dos, and you are, yeah, makes sense. If I go back to my to-do list spec, it renders heading, save and show to-do, I should be able to clear to-dos. Render the to-do list. I'm going to create my to-do, and then I need to do the same thing. I guess I only have one. Actually, I only have one link, so I can probably do the same thing. I'm going to do something like link. This will be click the click the clear link, and what else do I need this to happen? I click the clear link, and I should be able to assert that it's not in the document. So maybe I can do that. I can expect that it is first. And then it's not. Expect the element, can this work? Not to be in the document. Let's see how far I get with that. So show me where you're running. Cool. Yes, it shows me everything. Unable to find accessible element, the role link. Makes sense. Let's go add it in. So where do I want it? I guess I want it just beneath here. I guess you'll be a anchor link, and you will have a name of clear, and I guess you need something here where we have an on click. We'll put you over here on this side. On click. You need to do. You need to this dot clear. Let's just have a clear function. Clear. Quite a straightforward one. This dot set state. Pass an object to do's. Just back to empty, please. Expect to do element. To do element is not defined. Let's go back to my test. To do list spec. To do, because I spelled it incorrectly. Cool, all tests passing. It looks like this works. I click it. I set that it is first, and then I remove it, and it's not in the document. Let's go back to my feature test. Something's broken. To-do list clear link. Let's give it a name. To-do list ID, so things can target it. To-do list clear link. Cool. Save, clear. Hello, world. Let's actually see it running. I don't think I've actually seen it running at all yet. Let's run it in my browser. Yet another to-do list. I guess my clear link should be further below, but this is how you test drive yet another to-do list. Complete. Okay, do I need to do anything else? 10:33 has pretty much been on the hour since I started. Anything else that I can do? Having a quick look at refactoring, I guess I would be able to extract this as a simple functional component in the heading, and potentially some of the other elements as well to sort of like try and split apart this program. The main use case, the main reason I had to extract the to-do component was to make sure that each to-do was responsible for its own state, its own ability to know whether it had line through or not, and then we had to update that if it was checked. We can get rid of some of these comments now. Get rid of these comments. Oh, no, not just get rid of everything. I guess let's just pause. Let's just stop there actually, and see what the questions are. Let me pause the recording.